please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome to this week's edition of Overdrive. I'm Sohini Dutt. Now, September 2018 is going down in the history books as the time when German luxury car manufacturers entered into the new era of electric vehicles. Now, close on the heels of Mercedes-Benz EQC electric crossover comes an all-new electric SUV from Audi. What's a fun fact though is that they chose Tesla's backyard to launch this car. But that's not the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter, of course, is the car, and Rohit will tell you all about it.
You've probably heard me say this often this year. Cars as we know them are about to change. 2018 happens to be the year when premium car makers are finally taking out their electrified concept cars off the show floors and into the real world. Now, Tesla is already leading the charge. Jaguar has let out its electrified cat in the I-Pace. Mercedes-Benz has shown its EQC, and now Audi is putting into production the E-Tron. Over the past couple of years, Audi has released a series of concepts around the word E-Tron. A sports car, a race car, an SUV, and even a sportback. Unsurprisingly though, it is the more popular SUV body style that has the honors of wearing the E-Tron badge as a production model name before it turns into a commonly used suffix for all electrified and hybrid Audi cars. Now that sounds a lot like what happened to Quattro in the Audi scheme of things. But moving to the design, the design is typical to what an Audi SUV would wear. But underneath is the drivetrain of the near future. The E-Tron styling is almost unchanged over the 2015 E-Tron Quattro concept, though the production car is marginally larger. In a conscious effort, the design doesn't try too hard to look futuristic. Audi wants to take it slow and go step by step. That said, the E-Tron has enough design elements that instantly establish it as a premium car. The plush cabin has a generous use of display panels and subtle ambient lighting that sets this car apart from its stablemates. It also debuts a new gear selector that will be common on the electrified range from Audi. There is a generous 600-litre boot too, while under the bonnet is a small 60-litre cavity that Audi calls frunk for stowing away the charging cables. The E-Tron uses the same wheel and tyre sizes as the Audi Q7, which combined with the smaller proportions of this car give the E-Tron a beefed up stance. In the floor is a bed of 95 kWh lithium-ion battery pack that comprises of 36 modules containing 12 pouch-type cells each. At 60 ampere hours, each cell is rated higher than the cells that are used by Tesla or Nissan. The battery pack is also capable of a 150 kW DC rapid charging, which is 30 kW superior to Tesla's supercharger. The fast charger can recharge up to 80% of the battery in 30 minutes and is compatible with the Ionity rapid charging network that is being set up by the consortium of manufacturers like the Volkswagen Group, Daimler, BMW and Ford. Audi is also working very closely with Amazon in developed markets to make sure that you have the right equipment required for the charging. The battery pack powers an electric motor at each axle for a dual motor powertrain configuration. The combined output is about 360 PS, 664 Newton meters, which is slightly lower than the hinted power output of 450 plus PS by the earlier E-Tron concepts. But it's still good for a quick 0 to 100 time of 5.7 seconds with the boost mode or 6.6 seconds otherwise, and the boost mode for about 8 seconds will bump up the power to 408 PS. Top speed is 200 km an hour. The E-Tron weighs around 3 tons, out of which 700 kilos is the battery alone. Audi says that they could have made the batteries lighter, but for the intended safety, weight distribution and dynamics, they had to keep the weight up. Its placement in the floor lowers the center of gravity and aids handling dynamics. To that effect, the E-Tron also gets air suspension in all 4 corners, but it will be interesting to see how it masks all that bulk when going into a bend. Braking is also a big concern with weight like that. Therefore, the E-Tron's regenerative braking system uses an electro-hydraulic system. A hydraulic piston is able to provide a higher pressure, which in turn gives it quicker braking response and lower braking distance. The braking system also works in a single pedal operation that will become common to electrified vehicles, wherein the system automatically initiates deceleration forces when you lift your foot off the accelerator pedal. Audi also claims that the regenerative braking can recuperate up to 30% of the car's total driving range. Add to this the advancements in energy density of the batteries and low resistance tires, and the e-Tron can manage a driving range of up to 400 kilometers. Driving range and charging times are an important criteria that will sort of dictate the acceptance levels of different electrified vehicles. And that is why aerodynamics plays a very important role. And that is where things get interesting. Compared to other show cars or concept cars that are electrified, which look like toy cars, this one looks like a conventional car. What isn't conventional is the design of the wing mirrors. Because of the slim profile, they are able to reduce the aerodynamic drag by a fair margin. These virtual wing mirrors feature wide-angle cameras instead that display the feed on slick OLED screens between the door pad and the A-pillars. These mirrors alone contribute to 20 kilometers to the overall driving range. However, they may not be legal in all markets. The low roof line, the self-adjusting air suspension and the grille contribute heavily to the aerodynamics and have enabled the designers to reach a drag coefficient of as low as 0.27. In comparison, the Q7 has a drag coefficient of 0.32. Behind the conventional-looking grille is a conventional radiator that is mated to a lattice-type water-based thermal system for the batteries. The system can either heat or cool the batteries to maintain an optimum operating temperature of 25 to 35 degrees Celsius even in regions of extreme climates. It would be interesting to see then how the e-Tron copes up with the Indian conditions. The good news is I'm not going to end this presentation of an electric vehicle with a sigh, again saying it's not going to come to India, the infrastructure doesn't exist. On the contrary, Audi India confirms that the e-Tron will indeed come to India. When? Well, late 2019. Something worth looking forward to then.
Well, there's a lot to look forward to in the electric car space, especially from Audi. They do promise to launch the second e-Tron based on the Sportback model that we saw last year, and also they have promised that by 2025 we will see around 7 completely electric cars from their stable. It's time for us to take our first break here on the show, but do join us because on the other side our editor Shumi will answer all of your queries on Auto Selector. Welcome back. You've joined us on our Auto Selector segment here on the show, where our Overdrive editor Shumi joins us to answer all of your queries. Hi Shumi, our first question this week comes in from Vineet. He writes in saying that he's interested in buying an automatic SUV and has shortlisted the Mahindra XUV 500 or the Toyota Innova Crista. He says that he will be mostly driving this SUV in the city, and once a year or twice a year he goes on vacations, and most of them are road trips. Which SUV would you suggest he should go for?
Vineet, not a very difficult question to answer honestly. The Crista is the car that you should be considering as your primary. I always suggest that you go test drive the car and see what feels better to you. But the use cycle that you've suggested, the yearly holiday, etc., the Crista will probably be the more comfortable car. The only reason why the XUV would be better than the Crista is if you're going off-road and need a four-wheel drive when you're going for your holidays. Otherwise, the Crista will probably last longer, it will be more reliable in the long run, and we know that the Innova's resale value is just incredible, so you'll probably use the car and get a whole lot of money back when you sell it. Easy to decide, it's the Crista.
Alright Shumi, our next question this week comes in from Anmay. He writes in saying that he's interested in buying a 110cc scooter. He has shortlisted the Honda Maestro Edge and the TVS Jupiter. Which do you think would suit him best?
Anmay, the 110cc scooter market is actually full of extremely good scooters, and you can't really go wrong no matter what you pick. I would suggest though that you go for the TVS Jupiter over the Hero Maestro Edge. It's a slightly better package overall, and I think a couple of years down the line you feel a little bit better about riding the Jupiter than the Maestro Edge, and that's really the only reason to do it. I tell everybody who's buying vehicles, also important is to see how you feel when you ride them. Go for a test ride, and if for whatever reason the Maestro Edge appeals more to you, absolutely go for it. But I suspect that the Jupiter is the better package for you.
Well, remember, if you have any more queries, you can send them to us at helpdesk@overdrive.co.in. That is our email address. You can also send them to us via Facebook or Twitter, and we will get Shumi to answer them for you on the show. Now, there's so much that has been happening in the world of auto, so without any further ado, let's dive right into the launches this week.
What you see behind me here is the C300D. They've launched 3 variants. So essentially, this is the C300D, which is for 48.5 lakh ex-showroom. Then you have the progressive variant and a prime variant. So the progressive is for 44.25 lakhs and the prime is for 40 lakh ex-showroom India. The C300D is clearly the top of the line. Grille is this diamond grille, shaped grille with a single slat, multi-beam LED headlamps. The lip and the apron, everything's been reprofiled to just make it look sportier, more aggressive. So it's got a nice hunkered down stance. It looks pretty good. C300D is coming in the AMG line. So you got 18-inch rims with that. It's essentially in the front and the rear where most of the reprofiling has been done. So if you see here, you'll see a more stylish, a more prominent curvature here. You'll find a chrome-tipped exhaust. 6,500 components in the vehicle that have been changed at what Mercedes-Benz tell us. In fact, let's take a look inside. There's a big change here as well. The AMG line variant is this beautiful 3-spoke steering wheel with a flat bottom. It takes cues from its older siblings in terms of the S-Class, etc. You get paddle shifters. Coming to the major change that has taken place in the new C-Class is under the hood. So now you get the new engines that are BS6 compliant. So what the C300D is running is an inline 4-cylinder 1950cc engine. This makes 245 bhp and 500 Newton meters of torque from about 1600 RPM. Performance should be quite good, and also you get the 9G Tronic transmission with it. So essentially, it should be a relaxed, comfortable, torquey motor to drive. Overall, new safety features, reprofiled design up front, and the pricing perhaps at a premium in the segment, but that's where the C-Class has been so far. So overall, that's the 2018 C-Class.
Piaggio India has launched a series of facelifted versions of the Aprilia SR150 scooter. The facelifted SR150 is now available at all Vespa and Aprilia showrooms at an ex-showroom price of 73,500 rupees. It comes in 4 new color schemes and gets an adjustable suspension. There's also a limited edition Aprilia Carbon SR150 that's available in an all-black theme with a dash of carbon graphics and adjustable suspension. 14-inch large wheel, 220mm disc brake, new digital cluster, USB option, and an option to fit connectivity feature makes this limited edition scooter an attractive proposition at approximately 70,000 ex-showroom Pune. There's also an all-black limited edition Vespa Note with its powerful 125cc engine available for 68,829 rupees ex-showroom Pune. The most exciting of all though is the new Aprilia SR150 race that sports a white base with red and green body graphics along with 14-inch alloys, golden caliper, digital console and a tall windscreen with specially designed race theme helmet and factory-fitted mobile connectivity feature. This too is available at both Vespa and Aprilia showrooms for 80,211 rupees ex-showroom Pune. Well, let's snap into a quick break here on the show, but do join us because on the other side, we will tell you all you need to know about the Lexus ES 300h. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, Japanese luxury car maker Lexus has managed to carve a niche for itself in the Indian luxury sedan space, which was previously dominated by just European manufacturers. And the latest launch from this manufacturer in India has been the ES 300h, which is, of course, its petrol-electric hybrid sedan. Now, Abhay Verma will take you for a drive.
Lexus certainly ruffled a few European feathers a little less than 2 years ago when it entered the Indian luxury car market. In fact, its cars have added a whole new dimension to the Indian luxury car space, particularly with their distinctive styling and also the fact that a lot of them are petrol-electric hybrids. The newest launch from the brand is this, the all-new 7th generation ES 300h. How is the car to drive? Let's find out. But before I get behind the wheel, I have to tell you about the car's eye-catching design. The design is inspired by the significantly more expensive LS500h, and truth be told, the styling alone makes the new ES 300h look a lot more expensive than its sticker price. What gets your attention first is the massive spindle grille borrowed from the LS500H, which makes for a very distinctive looking front end, along with the triple projector headlamps and the sharp LED daytime running lamps. The alloy wheels accentuate the sharpness of the design and also get a unique looking hyperchrome finish. The lower, coupe-like stance adds dollops of sportiness to the car's appearance from the sides, while the rear looks equally arresting, particularly thanks to the design of the taillights and the swooping roofline as well. The ES300H in fact is the most distinctive looking car in the mid-size luxury sedan segment and guarantees you a second look wherever you go. The driver's cockpit in the new ES300H is certainly a nice place to be, and that's thanks to the fact that the cabin layout has been revised and the dashboard has been designed such that the controls are more driver-centric, and that has also helped in liberating better space for the front passenger. There's lots of leather all around, which adds to the luxurious feel, but some of the plastic bits, especially the switches for the AC, could have been designed better as they look slightly outdated. The compact steering wheel and fully digital instrument cluster add a dash of sportiness, while the dashboard is covered in high-quality leather, which makes for a very rich feel. There's a sense of occasion to the cabin overall, thanks to the high quality of the materials used, as also the unique design cues like the floating door handles. The massive 12.3-inch display for the infotainment system takes center stage, but is not a touchscreen and is only controlled via the touchpad positioned next to the drive selector lever. I also like the seats a lot, and not just for their beige color, but also because they feel extremely plush, and the driver and front passenger seats are also ventilated, which will be a boon in our summers. In terms of comfort and luxury, I think I like the rear seat better. Now that's not just because it feels more luxurious, but also because there is so much space. Now the driver's seat is still set to my seating. I'm about 5 feet 11 inches tall, but that's the amount of leg room I have. There's all the controls that I would want right here next to me. But the biggest highlight here is the fact that the rear seat can be reclined as well. Another interesting feature in the new ES300H is the remote release function for the boot. So as you see, I can open the boot with a simple swipe of my foot, but that's not it. The boot can also be shut in the exact same fashion. Convenient, isn't it? Start driving and one of the first things that you hear inside the cabin is the silence. Now the ES has been known to have one of the quietest cabins in the segment, and the 7th generation car that I'm driving right now is even quieter. Lexus tells us a lot of effort has gone into improving NVH levels further, and that's thanks to even more extensive use of sound deadening materials across the cabin, including most of the floor pan. The quietness is also courtesy an active noise cancellation system, which cuts out a lot of the noise and adds to the sense of calm on the go. And the quietness aside, what you also enjoy here is the crisp audio quality from the 17-speaker Mark Levinson audio system, which should help in raising your spirits when being driven back home after a long day at work. The combined output for the electric motor and the petrol engine in the new generation ES300H is higher than before and stands at a healthy 215 PS. Now that sounds like a lot, but the acceleration is not exactly something that is going to thrust you into the seat back, as this car is more about smooth, linear acceleration rather than plastering a huge smile across your mug. Don't get me wrong, the ES300H is quick to accelerate and get to triple-digit speeds and will have no trouble in covering long distances quickly. But the responses from the engine, electric motor and the eCVT transmission it is equipped with are more on the lines of comfort and luxury rather than frantic power delivery. Lexus has also worked extensively on improving the dynamics of the ES300H, and the car uses an all-new chassis that's lighter than the previous one, along with new multi-link suspension at the rear. These work well in offering a confident and highly stable feel on the road. The battery pack is also lighter than before and has been moved from the boot to under the rear seats, which hasn't just helped in improving boot space but has also improved the car's dynamics thanks to the lower positioning. The revised suspension has also helped in improving the car's ride quality. There's a hint of firmness going over bumps and potholes thanks to the 18-inch wheels, but the suspension soaks up undulations well, thereby ensuring a comfortable ride on most surfaces. Comfort aside, the ES300H should also be one of the most fuel-efficient cars in its segment, as claimed fuel efficiency from the hybrid powertrain is a highly impressive 22.37 kmpl, which is a 25% increment. You can also monitor the powertrain's performance via graphic displays on the instrument cluster or the infotainment screen, which tell you whether it's the engine sending power to the wheels or the electric motor or both. The ES in this car's name stands for Elegant Sedan, and the new generation ES300H, it definitely feels a lot more elegant and more stylish as well. Priced at Rs 59.13 lakh, it faces off against big names like the Mercedes-Benz E-Class, the Audi A6, the BMW 5 Series, as also the Jaguar XF. And at its price, this car is definitely distinctive because unlike the others, it is the only petrol-electric hybrid in the mid-size luxury sedan segment. And wherever it takes you with a lot of style and a lot of elegance as well.
Well, we like to hear from you, so do send us your comments, suggestions, feedbacks on our help desk at overdrive.co.in. That is our email address. You can also stay in touch with the team through Facebook, through Twitter, and you can follow our latest videos on our YouTube channel and our updates on Instagram. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and many thanks for watching.